The most famous actress in Hollywood history just told a shocking secret on her deathbed that changes everything we thought we knew about John Wayne. Maureen O'Hara lived 95 years and kept quiet about the dark truth behind her biggest movies until her final days. The woman with fiery red hair who stole hearts in The Quiet Man finally broke her silence about what really happened on those movie sets. Her confession reveals a side of Hollywood that studios tried to hide for decades. Born in Dublin, Ireland in 1920, young Maureen had no idea she would become one of the most powerful women in Hollywood. Her mother sang opera, her father owned part of a soccer team, but Maureen was different. She had something special that even her family couldn't explain. At Ireland's famous Abbey Theatre, teachers watched this little girl with bright green eyes and knew she was born to be a star. But here's what nobody tells you about becoming famous. Maureen was just 19 when Hollywood discovered her. A famous actor named Charles Laughton saw her screen test and couldn't believe his eyes. The man who had worked with the biggest stars in the world was speechless watching this unknown Irish girl perform. Within weeks, this teenager was on a boat to America with nothing but a suitcase and big dreams. She had no friends, no money, and no idea what she was walking into. The journey across the Atlantic took days, and Maureen spent most of it seasick and terrified about what awaited her in America. Hollywood in 1939 was like a factory that ate young actors alive. Studio bosses controlled everything: how you looked, who you dated, even what you said in interviews. They wanted to change Maureen's Irish accent, straighten her beautiful red hair, and turn her into just another pretty face. The executives would line up actresses like cattle and decide their fates based on measurements and photographs. Many girls would do anything to please these powerful men, but Maureen had Irish fire in her blood. She refused to become someone else's idea of perfect. This rebellion made her enemies from day one, but it also made her unforgettable. Her first big movie was Alfred Hitchcock's Jamaica Inn. Sounds glamorous, right? Maureen was so scared and confused that she cried between takes. The crew spoke in Hollywood slang she didn't understand. The cameras, lights, and pressure were overwhelming. She felt like a fraud who didn't belong. Some crew members made cruel jokes about her accent, calling her the Irish farm girl behind her back. But here's the moment that changed everything. Hitchcock pulled her aside and said something that saved her career. He told her they didn't cast her because she was perfect. They cast her because she was real. That single conversation gave her the confidence to fight back against everyone who tried to break her spirit. Those words became her power. When she got the role of Esmeralda in The Hunchback of Notre Dame, she was ready. But ready doesn't mean easy. The costume weighed 40 pounds. The studio lights were so hot that actors fainted. Maureen worked 16-hour days in medieval dresses that cut into her skin. The makeup took 3 hours to apply and another hour to remove. Charles Laughton, her co-star, became like a father to her during this brutal filming process. He taught her tricks to survive the physical demands and protected her from crew members who tried to take advantage of her inexperience. Blood, sweat, and tears, that's what made her famous, but it also forged her into the strongest woman in Hollywood. While her career was taking off, her personal life was falling apart. At 19, she married a British film producer in secret. Big mistake. He wanted a housewife, not a movie star. He couldn't handle her success and tried to control her career. The marriage lasted 2 years before Maureen realized she had to choose between love and her dreams. She chose her dreams. Then came marriage number 2 in 1941. William Price was a film director who seemed perfect. He understood movies, he supported her career, and when their daughter was born in 1944, Maureen thought she had it all. But Price had a dark secret that would destroy their family. He was an alcoholic who couldn't control his drinking. At first it was just wine with dinner. Then it became whiskey in his coffee. Soon Price was drinking from the moment he woke up until he passed out at night. Picture this. Maureen would come home from long days filming movies to find her husband passed out drunk on the floor, empty bottles everywhere, her baby daughter crying in her crib while her father was too drunk to care. The strong woman who faced down studio executives was now making excuses for her husband's behavior and hiding bruises under makeup. Price became violent when he drank, throwing objects and screaming at Maureen in front of their child. For 10 years, Maureen lived this nightmare. She tried everything to save her marriage while protecting her daughter and building her career. But the breaking point came at her daughter's 7th birthday party. Price showed up drunk and created a scene that traumatized their child. That night, Maureen knew she had to choose her daughter's safety over her marriage. But here's where the story gets really interesting. While Maureen's personal life was chaos, something magical was happening on movie sets. She met John Wayne, and their partnership would create movie history. But what really happened between them was nothing like what people thought. Their first meeting was a disaster. Wayne walked onto the set of Rio Grande expecting another pretty actress who would follow his lead. Instead, he found a woman who challenged every word he said. Wayne was actually intimidated by Maureen at first. She was smarter than him, tougher than him, and refused to be pushed around. She had read every script 3 times and knew everyone's lines better than they did. In their first scenes together, he tried to test her limits. Bad idea. Maureen pushed back harder than he expected. She rewrote dialogue on the spot, questioned his acting choices, and refused to let him dominate their scenes. The crew watched these 2 strong personalities clash, and that's when they realized the fighting created incredible chemistry on screen. Their movie The Quiet Man made them both legends, but filming it nearly broke them both. Wayne was dealing with his own problems, money troubles, a failing marriage, and the pressure of being America's tough guy hero. The man who seemed invincible on screen was falling apart behind the scenes. Maureen became the only person who saw past his image to the scared man underneath. She would find him sitting alone between takes, staring at nothing, lost in his own thoughts. They became real friends, not just co-stars. Wayne later said that Maureen was the only person in Hollywood who treated him like a human being instead of a legend. Now here's the secret that Maureen kept for 60 years. When she was 95 years old and knew she was dying, she finally told the truth about filming McLintock with John Wayne. The movie that made audiences laugh actually hid a dark story about how Hollywood treated women. The set was run like a boys' club where women were treated like decorations, not professionals. Maureen had to fight for every line of dialogue that made her character more than just a nagging wife. She showed up to work every day with notes about her character's motivations, challenging the writers and directors who wanted to keep her quiet. The famous mud fight scene that everyone loves? It was torture. Maureen spent hours in freezing cold mud, doing take after take until her body was covered in bruises. When she complained, the crew told her that speaking up would make her difficult, the kiss of death for any actress in Hollywood. But Maureen's Irish stubbornness wouldn't let her stay quiet. Here's the part that will shock you. John Wayne, the ultimate tough guy, eventually became Maureen's biggest supporter in these fights. He started out as part of the problem, thinking her complaints were unnecessary drama. But as filming continued, Wayne saw how the crew treated her, and realized she was right. He used his power as the biggest star in Hollywood to make sure Maureen got the respect she deserved. This experience changed both of them forever. Wayne learned to see women as equals, not just pretty faces. Maureen learned that even the strongest men could grow and change when challenged by someone they respected. But the real drama in Maureen's life was just beginning. She had been secretly dating Enrique Pera, a wealthy Mexican banker, for 14 years. Their love story was like something from a romance novel, passionate, exotic, and doomed. Maureen would disappear to Mexico for weeks, learning the culture and language while falling deeper in love. But the distance and their different worlds eventually tore them apart. Just when Maureen thought she would never find true love, fate stepped in. Charles Blair Jr. was unlike any man she had ever met. He was a military hero, a pioneering pilot, and completely secure in his own success. He didn't need to control her or compete with her fame. For the first time in her life, Maureen found a man who was proud of her achievements instead of threatened by them. Their marriage in 1968 was Maureen's happiest time. Blair encouraged her to step away from Hollywood's toxic environment and find new interests. She learned to fly planes, helped run his airline business, and discovered peace in their island home. After decades of fighting for respect and recognition, Maureen finally found a partner who saw her as a complete person, not just a movie star. But happiness is fragile, and Maureen's perfect life was about to shatter. In 1978, just 10 years into their marriage, Charles Blair died in a plane crash while piloting his own aircraft. The loss devastated Maureen in ways that her previous heartbreaks never had. This wasn't a relationship that failed. It was a love story that was violently cut short. As if losing her soulmate wasn't enough, Maureen was diagnosed with cancer that same year. The woman who had survived Hollywood's cruelty and personal betrayals now faced her own mortality. But here's what made Maureen special. She fought back. The cancer surgery was successful, and she recovered with the same determination that had driven her entire life. At age 90, when most people would be resting, Maureen did something incredible. She started a foundation in Ireland to help young actors avoid the struggles she had faced. She wanted the next generation to have the support and guidance that Hollywood had never given her. The foundation was her way of making sure other young women wouldn't have to fight alone like she did.
Maureen's final years were marked by heart attacks, diabetes, and memory loss, but her spirit never broke. Even when her body was failing, she kept her sharp wit and fierce independence. She refused to be treated like a fragile old lady, maintaining her dignity until the very end. When Maureen O'Hara died peacefully in her sleep in 2015 at age 95, she left behind more than just movies. She proved that a woman could be beautiful and strong, vulnerable and fierce, successful and authentic all at the same time. Her story shows us that real victory doesn't come from avoiding life's battles. It comes from fighting them with honor and keeping your soul intact. Her deathbed confession about John Wayne and Hollywood's treatment of women was her final gift to the world. She waited until she had nothing left to lose before telling the truth about what it really cost to be a woman in Hollywood's golden age. Her honesty serves as both a warning and inspiration for anyone chasing their dreams in an industry that demands you sacrifice who you are for who they want you to be. Maureen O'Hara didn't just entertain millions of people, she showed them what it looks like to live with uncompromising authenticity. In a world that rewards conformity and compromise, her story reminds us that the greatest performance is staying true to yourself no matter what the world demands in return. Hit that subscribe button if you want more untold stories from Hollywood's golden age that will change how you see your favorite stars forever.